1 hour to go then here at the 24-hour Moto, the Le Mans 24-hour motorcycle race, round one of the FIM Endurance World Championship for 2023. We welcome back the viewers on Eurosport 2 to our final coverage as we head into the final hour towards the checkered flag in a sunny south region of France. The usual Le Mans rain, fingers crossed, will stay away for this final hour. It's stayed away so far. It's been a good race weather-wise, very cold in the early hours of the morning. The track temperature dropping as low as 4 or 5 degrees C, which caused a few bikes to slip up. We'll shortly be handing over to Chris Sora and Chris McCarthy to take you through the final hour of this race. But it has been an absolutely fabulous affair heading into its final hour, hasn't it, Ben Rumbold?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, my third straight year commentating at Le Mans. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Dave, thanks for your company. Been really good to be joined by yourselves here for this 24-hour 24 Le Mans. A crazy rate of attrition through the night and continuing. 1 hour left to go. I'm going to bid you adieu. See you next time. And yeah, I'll hand over to one of the Chris's. I think Chris Sora is going to take my spot there. So yeah, enjoy the final hour of the race, ladies and gentlemen. A bientôt.
Right, au revoir to Ben Rumbold. I'm sure he'll be back next year for the 2025 edition of the 24 Motos. And it's been my first time on the coverage this year, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you, I have to say. Thoroughly enjoyed my time covering Le Mans, including taking you through the night shift overnight from 2 a.m. until 5 a.m. One team that has struggled, sadly, in this year's events, the number 5 FCC TSR Honda France team, with 2 falls early on in the race. Josh Hook went down early on as they tried to fight back. It was Mike D'Amelio's turn to take a tumble. This all in the first couple of hours of the race. Mike just losing the front wheel through there. The bike cartwheeling into the gravel, left with 2 punctures and having to be manhandled back into the pits. They lost over 25 laps repairing that machine, and then the fight was on. The victory out of the question, but the fight was on to get the machine repaired and then at least pick up some points to try and go for the World Endurance Championship this year. But then it all came apart, quite literally. The chain snapping and coming off, clipping Josh Hook's left leg there as it came off, and you can see shattering the engine casing with just a couple of hours of the race to go, or less than that, in fact, around 90 minutes from the checkered flag, and it was decided that the repairs would take too long. The bike had to be retired. Great shame for the winners of the 2023 edition of the Le Mans 24 hours. But that's racing, and they will try again in the 8-hour race at Spa-Francorchamps. Well, that's about all from myself, Dave Goddard, then. I'll hand you over to Chris Sora, who will be shortly joined by Chris McCarthy. Hopefully I'll see you back next year for the 2025 edition of the race, but he'll be over to the 2 Chris's to take you through the final hours of this Le Mans 24-hour Motos 2024.
Yeah, congratulations, Dave, on a great job, and we cut right into the overall classifications of things as things stand after 23 hours of the 24 here at Le Mans, and we see the Yoshimura Moto Suzuki team on 823 laps, approaching the most laps completed in over 5 years here at Le Mans. And of course the 5th position, the number 55, running well, National Motos Honda. Rest of the top 10, KM99 coming strongly in the closing stage of the race, approaching the top 15. And for the Brits, the TRT 27AZ Moto machine running strongly in 17th position, with that all British lineup running very well indeed. 29 left in the race. The Wojcik Racing team still showing as not out of the race yet, but they've only completed 429 laps, and so that wouldn't be classed as an official finisher even if they were to cross the line, but that bike still classed as being part of the race. But we cut back, of course, to the final hour of the race, where Dan Linford, of course, is leading the way on the Yoshimura Moto Suzuki. We're expecting at least one more rider change for that Suzuki team. We believe that Greg Black will be taking to the controls at some point during this final hour, as we see the number 36, the 3-art best of bike, sitting on the final podium spot right now, but comfortably ahead, 4 laps ahead of the what will now be effectively the 12th place. They asked the number 72 junior team Le Mans Suzuki, who we're looking at the moment, who will effectively move into 12th place, of course, because the FCC TRSR Honda France machine agonizingly out of the race, the former champions. And after such a good fight back for that team, all the way through the towards the fringe of the top 10, the chain splitting on that machine, and we can only speculate at this stage, but I wouldn't be too surprised if that also took the engine casing with it, because they got that bike back to the pit area, took one look at it and just left the bike alone. So whatever it did is certainly enough to prevent them from getting the bike back into the race. There's the treble one, the Team Avio bike by M2 Revo, 14th overall, soon to be 13th, of course, with Luca Bernardi, the San Marino rider, on that machine right now. The Aprilia, who've been dabbling with a podium position, I think is just going to elude them, but on course at the moment, with just over 50 minutes left in the race for fifth position. They might just catch up with that number 72, only 8.2 seconds behind, with less than 1 hour remaining. And we are turning into the final hour of the race, and this is where the teams have just got to bring these bikes home. There's not much in terms of close on-track action at the moment. They're just counting the laps off, counting the minutes off. Certainly for the likes of the Yoshimura Cert Motul team, the BMW and the Yamaha in third. They're all comfortably ahead at the moment, just looking to maintain those positions, bring it home and get those valuable championship points, and of course for Suzuki, the glory of the victory. Almost feels like a foregone conclusion, but as we know, in 24-hour racing, anything can happen and nothing can be guaranteed until the checkered flag drops and they cross the line. So still a nervy 53 minutes to go. The race still finely poised. Welcoming Chris McCarthy to the box as we analyse the final hour of this race, which has run pretty well. We were looking at the lap charts there. Now sitting on 814 laps. I think we're going to be on course here for the most laps in 5 years. Just going to an interview in the pits.
You came here to win the race, and unfortunately the race started very bad. Now you have that chain problem. But first of all, what are the condition of Josh? Is he okay?
Yes. This is human life. And endurance is, just human life. If broken or slip down or accident, but come back. Never give up, ever give up. Same you.
But okay, thank you, Fuji, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Cheers. Atstaro.
So Fuji there, the team manager for that Honda France Twins, Kazu Fuji, keeping a brave face on things as we approach the next round in Suzuka, so Spa-Francorchamps even next month. So like we say, 52 minutes to go in this race. The Quattrevent Moto coming to an end here at Le Mans, with the number 12 Yoshimura Cert Motul, Dan Linford at the controls right now and looking to bring it home during the final hour of the race. As the 111 making their way through the Dunlop curve, the Aprilia now up to 14th position. Track temperatures looking quite good in the low teens now. The track really is coming back towards the riders after a difficult night. You have to say that full credit to the riders. There were some incidents during the night, but coping well with the tough conditions. A lot of the riders remarking how hard it was out there in the early morning, as we see the 3-up best of bike junior team LMS separated by 1 lap at this stage. Not as much as it sounds when you consider you're looking around 1:40 lap time at this stage of the race, as the leaders of the Superstock 5th overall coming into the pits swapping out that rear tyre at least, and maybe getting a front tyre on. So National Motos Honda Superstock leaders sitting quite comfortably at the front of the Superstock class. Just got to bring it home in the last half hour and looking good for a top 5 position with 50 minutes to go. That looks like the yellow armbands going out onto the track, so that will be Valentin Suchet, who I think at this stage will be bringing the bike home. So Chris McCarthy reflecting on this final 50 minutes of the race. Of course, we can't take anything for granted for everyone at the moment at the front, just looking to keep things together and bring it home.
Yeah, I think that's the case now. Great to be back. Our thanks go out to the entire team here, bringing you the coverage trackside as well, to Tom Gaymore and Simon Patson, who stepped away in the early hours, and now to Ben Rumbold and Dave Goddard, who have just finished off their duties as well. Myself, Chris McCarthy, Chris Saw are going to be with you for the remainder of this race, and there isn't much left now. This is where it is just a case of getting it to the flag. We are into the final stages, and that is where it becomes even more tough to accept, as shown in the pictures of the SCC Honda team when things go wrong, and what devastating pictures they were when it came to them that they were not going to be taking part in this race any further after they had that incident with the chain. A real shame for the FCC Honda team. Out front, we haven't seen any major dramas in both classes. We still stand roughly where we were a couple of hours ago. It's been as you were, really. The gaps between the top two have stayed fairly stable over the last couple of hours. Into the final 50 minutes of this 24-hour race here at Le Mans, the first round of the FIM Endurance World Championship. It is almost time for the checkered flag to be waved. It is getting very, very close now to that point. For the riders, they are feeling the fatigue, I'm sure, and for the teams, it is getting even more nerve-wracking to watch from the sidelines. We're getting into the phase of final pit stops now, and for the riders, it's just a case of bringing it home. Myself, Chris McCarthy, Chris Zora with you for the remainder of the race now to bring it home to the checkered flag. Thank you very much for your company throughout. It's been a real pleasure to have so many of you getting in touch throughout the race, and you can still get in touch with us for the remainder of the race. Use our handles on Twitter at Chris McCarthy 32, at Chris Sora as well. And Chris, we're going to put another question out there, aren't we, to the viewers as well. It was quite good last time. We put the question out there last time. Which tracks would you like to add to the Endurance World Championship? I thought the responses were pretty fantastic.
Yeah, we had some fantastic responses from near and far. So
and you had, of course, your own one as well, which was Zolder.
Zolder, I think.
Yeah, and I'm going to add my own, which I think is going to be Magello.
That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
I've been to Magello. I've been to a lot of tracks now. I'm fortunate enough to say Magello is the best one I think I've been to, just in terms of when you get there, you're completely blown away by the elevation and the sights around the circuit. I think an 8-hour race or so around there would be superb, and it's just made for motorcycle racing. Okay, let's get another one out there to you guys, and we're going to leave this one out there for the remainder of the race. I want as many of you getting in touch as we can. We want your rider and team of the race. So team of the race, please. Let us know who you think, which team has impressed you the most. Any riders in particular as well that have impressed you the most, and if there's been any moments you've enjoyed throughout the races most. But in particular, we want your team of the race in this 24-hour of Le Mans to kick off the Endurance World Championship. Many contenders, and Chris Sora, I'm going to put it to you when we get to the final 10 minutes. So get thinking, and I'm going to ask Dave Goddard, who I know is watching from the prep area, to send me his as well. I'm going to have a think myself, I think, as well. I can't put you guys on the spot and not give my own answer.
Yeah, there's certainly quite a few contenders out there throughout the field, really. It depends on, of course, whether you look at a rider of the day or a team of the day. there's various ways you can interpret that. Is it the ones who've been out at the front controlling the race, or is it somebody who's been a bit plucky in the midfield fighting through, never giving up, that sort of thing? There's so many ways you can interpret that kind of question.
This leads us nicely into the stories of the race. Why don't we kick off by talking about our leaders? In fact, let's kick off by talking about, we're seeing the 36 on screen. Let's talk a little bit about them first, shall we? 3Art's best of bike. We haven't seen huge amount of them, but they've come through the order pretty well, and they now look on for a podium. Let's talk about them first, and then we'll work our way up.
Yeah, just out of the pits now with Maiko Watanuki. Of course, they have been there or thereabouts for the entire race. They've not really challenged greatly for the podium. When you look at some of the other teams that were in there as well, Team Etoile, for example, they looked very strong going into the night stints, and the number 36 just hovering on the edge of the podium, but they've come into form just at the right moment here, sitting very well in 11th position. They haven't really put a foot wrong during the entire race. Nothing major setting them back. They've just kept it nice and cool, and yeah, I think they really have looked good in the final few hours of the race. The bike's coming towards them nicely, well drilled onto the track, and assuming things stay as they are, of course, still a long way to go, but looking good for a podium at this stage.
Yeah, they had a moment in the early stages of the race. I remember they have had their moments, but I think it's only really I mean, even our leaders have gone down, so I don't think there's any teams out there that haven't had some form of slip in the race. It's been one of those races. Let's work a little bit further up then and go to our leaders. They have had one of the more complex stories of the race so far.
Oh, most definitely, you would say, of course, the Yoshimura Motul team. Dan Linford currently leading the way, expecting him to change, at least one more rider change from most of these teams before the end of the race. And if you remember, of course, the very nasty looking crash for Greg Black in the early evening, and I think it's no exaggeration to say that if he'd have been a bit more unlucky, could have landed at an awkward angle, Black could have been out of the race, and that bike could have been very severely damaged. We were going into the night stint thinking they were out of contention, but as we know, in a 24-hour race, it just turns on its head. And just linking that into the Yamaha team, that was the team that looked unstoppable going into the night. And then when we looked at the situation in the morning, for the sake of about 2 or 3 laps, everything had just turned on its head.
Yeah, and then we have our number 37 BMW, who were chasing down the lead at one stage, and it was a case of around 20 seconds, wasn't it? It was there or thereabouts. They were really chasing down a lead hard. Then it all came slipping away with a high side down at the final corner.
That little incident just costing them dear. It's just that little nudge they could have benefited from just to control the race, you would say. The BMW has been running very well throughout the 24 hours. Maybe not quite on the level of the Yamaha and the Suzuki that are surrounding it in terms of outright speed, but it has been incredibly close. It's lasted the 24 hours very well, good range on the machine. They've been able to eke some pace out of that one. It's been very kind on the Dunlop tyres as well, which have worked very well.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, motorcycle fans, you know, how impressed are we with the BMW? And what about yourself, Chris? How impressed have you been with it?
I think it's been a
there or thereabouts.
good,
you know,
solid bike, I think.
Given it's never won this race, it's there in second, and he's going to add another podium to the list. I mean, I think that's very impressive.
They're certainly well poised here. We're looking at just over 40 minutes remaining, and they're exactly where you need to be in this race. If you can't win, of course, you're just going to be hanging on there in second. I mean, you never know. Anything can happen in the last 40 minutes, so they've done incredibly well to get to the stage where they are now, poised and ready to capitalise on any kind of mistake or incident that would befall the Cert Suzuki at the lead.
Yeah.
But so still very finely poised there, and BMW, I think the bike has done incredibly well. It's settled into the track quite nicely. The riders have used the head throughout the race, stayed out of any major incidents, and not really lost too much time out there. So they're still very much in the hunt here, keeping the pressure on Suzuki.
Yeah, and then we have the number 11 next along. After that, the Kawasaki, who have had their problems with a 9-minute pit stop. They've had a fall as well, but they still sit with big points coming their way as we approach the final 30 minutes of the 24 hours. We talk about the overall leaders, though, Chris. We can't forget the super stocks. And watching 3 Arts here, these 2 times winners in super stocks back in 2016 and 2017, once were in the Endurance World Championship class, so they know how to fight at the very front, and they were World Cup champions in 2016 as well. So this is a team we shouldn't be surprised to see racing for this podium. They did have their dramas through the race. Does this get to a point where they think what could have been? I think they'll take the podium and the points with it.
Yeah, I think the podium at round number 1, decent points haul for them. Comfortably ahead of the Aprilia at this stage, provided they stay out of any major trouble. 1 minute 17. It's going to be a tall order for the Aprilia to catch up in terms of pace at this stage. Speaking of the pace, much of the pack has just dropped the pace by a couple of seconds. The Suzuki lapping comfortably in the 138s right now. BMW in the 139s. Yamaha still pushing 137, but just losing a couple of seconds on the outright fastest lap pace. So everyone just trailing it back a little bit just to make sure these bikes get home, as we are still sitting at 40 minutes remaining. That is a fair national race distance in itself, of course. So and these bikes have already done well over 23 hours on the track, so everyone just keep it together. Spectators, of course, already back into position. When we came here this morning, the grandstands looking fairly bare on the final corner. I think everybody was sheltering from the cold in their accommodation, and we saw some of the hardy people wrapped in flags and blankets and coats and whatnot, who didn't want to miss a lap at all. But packed grandstand as we approach the final 40 minutes of this race. As here we go right through to the finish here at Le Mans. We're going to carry you through the final 38 minutes of this race as we look at the number 55. We're going to pop down to the paddock.
Stefan, you did an amazing race. Your radar did a very good job during the night. That we know the conditions were very tricky with the cold temperature. They didn't make any mistake. I know it's still 35 minutes from the checkered flag, but are you happy at the moment?
No. I will be happy at the end of the race. Actually, the objective is to stay on the track, no crash, no risk, and we wait.
Yeah, we know endurance can be cruel, but we wish you good luck.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
Well, Stefan Haddad from the number 55 National Motos Honda. Are you happy with this result? No. You can't say fair than that because the race isn't over yet. So he's asking an honest question. You get an honest answer from him, and he's quite right, of course. I'm sure there'll be an element of him that's pleased with the situation at least, but yeah, you can't relax until that checkered flag comes out, can you? No, equally?
Not in a race like this. Not in a race like this. Well, not in any race, but particularly one like this where you've come this far.
I would interject here and say for the rider of the day, this is one of my early votes here, is Dan Linford, who has been very impressive. He's been one of the riders who's really fought back for the Suzuki team. When they got into the lead as well, he's been a very calm head. We saw him getting close to the BMW, but opting just to manage the race at the front. So it was a very cool, calm, collected performance from him there. So I would say throw that out as an early contender as well. Yeah. Well, that's what we're putting out there. Teams of the race, we want to hear from you. It doesn't have to be your winner, so to speak. Any teams that have really impressed you, if you've been watching just bits of the coverage, all of it, any ones that you've really impressed you throughout this race, get in touch at Chris McCarthy 32, at Chris Sora. Let us know which would be your team of the race, or if there's a rider in particular like Chris Sora's just picked out there that's really impressed you whilst you've been watching in. Dan Linford impressing Chris Sora with his performances throughout, and so he should be. He's done a superb job, I have to say. Greg Black, I mean, he had his instance, but every time he's been on the bike, he's really pushed it forward as well. The times we've been seeing from some of the riders at the front when they've been out there have been Chris, absolutely astonishing. Yes, talk us through this, Chris. Just goes to show when you look in the first 2 or 3 hours, we always say that you can't win the race in those first few hours. You go a long way towards losing it, but Suzuki not perturbed by that, just dropping down to the lower reaches of the top 20 after that spill in the opening hours of the race. Really spending much of the evening clambering up through the records, sitting in the top 5, and then that incident with the Yamaha team, BMW hitting trouble almost at the same time, pretty much elevated them to first position, and apart from a few 1 or 2 pit stop switch rounds, that is pretty much where they have stayed. So it has been a fantastic race for them so far, fantastic fight back for them, and they've just got to bring it home in the last 35 minutes.
And another one to Ilya Michalczyk on that BMW. Anytime he's been on, he's really pushed forward. But of course, these are very much team efforts. It takes all the riders out there to bring that home, and it takes all the team in the garage to bring it home, doesn't it, as well? Very much a team effort out there. And without all those pieces of the puzzle, it would not be possible to get the prize at the end of it. So that is what we see in these races. You've got to all do your effort out there. But certainly there's been some fantastic performances that have stood out to some of us along the way. Yoshimura, we've been delivered these lovely onboard pictures throughout the race.
This is a fantastic spot to watch on board as well. Just gives you a real idea as to how fast that section through the Dunlop curve down to the Dunlop chicane is. When we watch the external shots of the riders, because good riding, they make it look so easy and so smooth. They just look like they're cruising round, but when you get down onto the bike itself, you just realise just how fast they're going.
Yeah, it really highlights that, doesn't it? And then we talked about it earlier as well, the elevation. Here we go, down to Chemin-au-Boeuf. You can see on the braking, and we're about to now tip into the left, and the camber through here, elevation changes. It just is a beautiful part of the circuit. Flows so nicely then into Garage Bleu, which has caught some prisoners throughout the race. Final pit stops taking place now. We're taking you through to the end of the race now, and those pit crews are performing what should hopefully be their last stops of this race.
So as expected, it looks like Greg Black will take to the bars for the final stint of this race. Half an hour or so to bring the bike down to the checker flag. This is where we're likely to see Dan Linfoot exiting the race. His work has almost certainly been done as Black just makes his final preparation. This has been such an up and down race for him.
I do not imagine he would have ever thought he was going to be sitting in the back of the garage getting on the bike as a race leader at the end of it. What must be going through his head? You could just see it in his eyes there that, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of sense of fatigue, but also, wow.
There's all sorts of emotions there, aren't there?
It wasn't there. You know, you could see the emotion, the adrenaline, and just final words of, I'm sure, encouragement being delivered to him, not like he needs any.
I think there's also the steely gaze of a man who knows that it's not just done yet. He's still got a bit of work to do.
Precisely. I'm taking on the Bugatti circuit, and he knows exactly what that can do to you. And now I think it's just
playing it cool,
trying to distract yourself from what you're about to take on. And I think whatever level you race at, it's always a good tactic to do before you're about to get back on.
Just catching up to the Bolliger Switzerland machine, sitting 7th overall with Alex Toledo Romero on the machine at the moment. We're expecting Linfoot to bail out of this one. No, he's still going, just staying behind that little group of riders. The number 77 in there as well. The Wojciech Racing Team 77, they've had a difficult day, but into the top 20 in these closing stages. Courtesy, of course, of the number 5 dropping out of contention as well as Suzuki make their final preparations, just trying to keep the mood as calm and collected as they can as they stand on the precipice, of course, of winning this race. Yamaha in the pits as well, the Yamaha team.
Yeah.
Good points for them in terms of the championship, you would say. 3rd position, a lot of position points, qualifying points as well, so they'll get a good points haul from this one, but certainly not the result they would have wanted.
No, and they're going to make their way down to take it now to the flag, the Yamaha team.
That's going to be 8.5 hours in total for Marcus Fritz. He's put the stint in, hasn't he, I think?
Yeah, just final stretches being done. Only half an hour to go now. And we saw Yamaha going out. It's time for Suzuki to make their stop. Yoshimura coming in for their final stop. Nice to see that now Greg Black does look very relaxed, I have to say, doesn't he?
Playing it cool, isn't he? There's a lot on his shoulders here, but you wouldn't know it to look at him, would you? I think that's maybe the best way to be, just play it cool.
Yeah.
Knows what he's doing here. Just under 30 minutes to go now, so maybe about 25 laps or so to give a rough 25 laps or so to the finish, sitting on 8:34 at the moment. It's been a relatively incident-free race. Touch wood, we haven't had the safety car out. Let's hope we don't finish under the safety car. Just that one incident in the night, of course, with the number 44 Honda No Limits machine.
Well, the race has
crashed quite heavily, and it was a 2-1-2, wasn't it? They brought out the safety car just a few minutes before that as well. Yeah, we could be on for a lot of laps being completed here.
Yeah, the race has gone at a fast pace, hasn't it? We're turning a lot of laps. There's KM99 back out. What a journey they've been on in this race.
I think you'd almost want to give them the Team of the Day award for perseverance. Yeah. They've been right up against it. This was an outsider for the victory, but they've just gone from problem to problem. But they are sitting in 14th, you know. That's not a bad outcome when you think that bike was in the garage for a long time overnight, and they'll get a few points from this race as well. But Jeremy Gononi on the machine at the moment. They certainly haven't thrown in the towel at any stage of this race, trying to keep that bike on the track. So 13 times winner, the Yoshimura Cert Moto, last time 2022, so 1 year hiatus for them. And if things stay as they are, they'll bring it over the line in 24. But time approaching now, 23:32 on the clock, and we're expecting, of course, Dan Linford to concede the machine over for the final bit to Greg Black.
And here we go.
So
comes the leader.
Here we go, Linford into the pits for the final time, or what we expect to be the final time, of course, barring any incidents. Fingers crossed for the Suzuki team. There's Black ready and waiting to take the controls for the final, what is now 27.5 minutes. Eric Masson done for the day as they pop the front wheel in. Very quick, of course, on the EWC machine, just swap them in and out. So that's Linford done for the day, I'm pretty sure. Take on a little splash of fuel to get the bike over the line. And the Greg Black is about to get on the machine. Relief as it fires up. We always sound a bit paranoid at these situations, but that's exactly the thing when it would say no. But here we go. Well, a well-deserved round of applause for them there, because that was a textbook pit stop.
Yeah.
Nerve-wracking moments, and we'll listen to what Linford has to say.
I don't think much to say just yet. I think it's all just sinking in. So taking the crash helmet off now.
Short shifting.
Let's have a listen.
Downshifting slowly.
Not the most exciting racing moment.
No, but you're overthinking everything.
I understand that. This is what we need.
Yeah, just take a breath now. Thank you both. Pray. Thank you. I use my head.
He's been a very cool head, hasn't he?
That's great to hear, isn't it?
Like he says, though, overthinking things. It's like you've got so many imaginary scenarios of stuff that will terribly go wrong in the last hour or so. As we watch the slow-mo of the pit stop. Great to see.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Oh, I love this. The mechanics at work here. Everyone drilled in position. They know what they're doing. Fantastic. When you ever tried changing a wheel on your own bike, how long that takes with the spanners and tools flying everywhere. Just chuck the front wheel straight in and off he goes.
How they stay so calm there as well. There's only a motorcycle flying at you down the pit lane.
And of course, the other thing to factor is those wheels. They're not the easiest things to manhandle in a hurry. They're of course fairly light for racing purposes, but they are bulky, and of course it's got the tyre on there as well. It's got to make sure the brakes align with the calipers, go straight in as well. So
they are well drilled, and they're on to make history as well. Suzuki it would be their 15th win. We had 3 manufacturers chasing that 15th win: Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki. This would be a record 15th win for Suzuki and put them above everyone else in this famous 24-hour race here at Le Mans, which has been going since 1978. The Yamaha was hoping to spoil the party and get their 5th win, but it looks like it's going to be 15 for Suzuki. Let's go and hear more from Dan Linfoot.
Dan, first race with Suzuki, Yoshimura said, I will not say victory, because until the checkered flag is not crossed, it's not done. Yeah. But you did an amazing job. Very fast, very constant in all the conditions. I can imagine that the last stint was quite difficult mentally, no?
Yeah, the last stint is you are overthinking everything. You hear every noise of the engine. You short shift early, you downshift with some space. Yeah, so the last one is tough, but I just rode under the limit in a nice rhythm, used my head and kept a constant safe lap time. Wind is also picking up, so I had to be cautious with the wind. But yeah, now it's to Greg. Hopefully nothing goes wrong, fingers crossed, and watch this moment.
Enjoy the moment.
Thank you, it's been amazing. Thank you.
Enjoy the moment.
Oh, thanks to Dan there. Confirmation really of what we could hear, but great to hear it from him. And it's now about just watching on and enjoying what should be history in the making.
I think from his point of view, it's almost a sense of relief there. So he's done all he's had to do. He can just sit there now, and all he can do is just watch and hope it all goes to plan. As the other really runaway leader at this stage, National Motos Honda, first in class. Looks like it's going to be the Sebastian Suchet taking to the controls for the final 23 minutes or so. To hopefully for that team bring it home, of course. So not quite the result Honda would have wanted, but a very strong victory in the super stock class, which of course is a bit more closer to the production counterparts. I would say not to be sniffed at for that team, and they've just got to bring it home in that 5th overall.
Let's get some of your messages read out then. We have been getting some in. We will get some of these read out. We can see the BMW making its way around, and they are currently 2nd place. It's been a superb race for them so far. So let's get some of these read out for you then. Nick Green still hanging in there. Thanks. I'm really enjoying the coverage so far from everyone. And Lee Spelzini also really enjoying the coverage so far. So thanks to Lee for being with us throughout the race. Dan Kyle thought it would have been a Honda leading the charge. Of course, Honda did have their moments throughout the race, but of course, as now we see the Suzuki coming through to lead the way with the Yamaha. BMW, the old guard, have come through, and despite all the drama, the experience has been telling.
Just going to interject here very quickly, Chris, because one possible suggestion on perhaps a determination and maybe a not quite sentimental, because he has done it on merit as well, but Gino Ria, according to our timing charts, is back out onto the track. That bike has been stationary for quite a few hours, but 29th out of 29, it's back in the race, so it looks like he's going to bring it home.
Great spot, and Lee Spalzini did get in touch to say his rider of the race is Gino Ria. Such an amazing and inspiring story and return to racing. That's the word, inspiring. Yeah, and Lee had just said that, so great timing actually. And Gino Ria, as spotted by Chris Sora, looks like he might be back out on circuit. And hello to Vicky as well, who's also tuning in for the final hour of the race. Great timing. If you are just joining with us for the first time, you could be about to see some history being made here. Suzuki climbing above the rest of the manufacturers to get to 15 wins. Is Gino Ria as well about to cross the finish line and have a very emotional moment here? We don't have confirmation that he is out on circuit just yet. Let's keep an eye, but we have noticed that his name has popped up.
Yeah, we'll see if the cameras pick him up as he makes his way around. Certainly, according to our timing charts, Gino Ria is shown as circulating on the track. We haven't actually seen him yet, but we'll keep an eye out for him. That bike has done 432 laps, so under the, strictly speaking, under the rules, that would be classed as, that wouldn't be classified as a finisher as such.
No,
not required the crew car distance, but who cares?
If he crosses the checkered flag, that would be a moment. To bring you up to speed, Gino Rea, a horrifying crash for him 2 years ago, wasn't it, at Suzuka, Chris? And he had to go through so much rehabilitation after that. Racing a motorcycle was a different story. It was out of the question at that point. It was just about recovering, recovering the basics at that point. And then all of a sudden, through so much hard work, through so much support, as he said, from everyone around him, the possibility of riding a motorcycle started to come to him. And after he did a parade lap here last year, and maybe that parade lap was just a part of what inspired him as well to get back. I mean, Gino Rea doesn't need much motivation. He comes with bags of it. He was part of our commentary team here as well, and he has worked his way back through to climb back onto a motorcycle in one of the toughest races. Well, if our
lap charts are true and he is on the track, I think this is very much his moment. It's his moment of glory here, finishing the race.
Well, let's
wait and see on that one.
Let's see if that does happen. Either way, I think he deserves his moment to be talked about again, because he did get back out there, and it was very brave of him to do so. What we will say about that team, why are they not circulating anymore? They have had several mechanical issues, which has meant not just Gino, but the other riders have had that bike going down just due to several mechanical issues, unfortunately, and they've had to push the bike back at times, and it's just been a really difficult race for them, as it has been for many. We're left with 29 teams left in the race if they're to get back in it. If they're not, then it will be 28 out of 48 teams.
Yes, a high rate of attrition in the early hours, it seemed. Not many in terms of accidents, but maybe the who knows, maybe the cold temperatures affecting the ring. There were quite a few spills overnight, of course, but
I was going to say big names to go, of course, Chris. You've got, well, the FCC Honda was one of the big ones to go, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's about an hour ago, roughly.
Yeah, they were probably one of the bigger ones that we saw fall. Slider Endurance was a fairly big one to go because they were fighting for the podium. Likewise, Techmas BMW were leading the Superstock class, and they went as well. Many big names falling there. Team Etoile were third in Superstock. They went. Honda Viltaz Racing, the 333, went right at the start as well. What a shame it was.
Very big disappointment for them. I think they were hoping for good things. A podium at the very least, I think, wouldn't have been out of the question for them. But we saw Florian Alt, the lead rider who went out first stint. All he could do was just look rather ashen-faced.
Yeah.
Just simply too much of an effort to get that bike back into the race, and they dropped out very early. Good race for these guys here in sixth position, the number 4 Tati Team Behringer Racing.
Yeah.
They've been hovering around the podium. They've dropped a little bit now, had 1 or 2 issues dropping to 6th place, but Randy Grummencher back on the bike. And whilst they're just going to be off the podium, one would say they've had a good race at the sharp end here, getting some good points at this first round of the championship.
No, I haven't seen Gino come through a sector, by the way, so I'm going to assume that that has just updated on the timing. Who knows?
Yeah, we shall wait and see. It does appear there have been 1 or 2 little glitches on the timing system after the closing stages.
So that might just be a glitch. But
we'll wait and see on that one.
Who knows? That might be something that could change soon. But yeah.
Here's the Team Bollinger team, 7th, 6th in class right now. That's another team, I think, here, Chris, similar to the number 4 that have been hovering there or thereabouts at the sharp end, and nothing too amazing in terms of going for the victory, but they'll bring it home and get some good solid points in this race, so certainly not too much to complain about for them. Good solid, at the moment, 6th position in their class as we approach the final 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's been it's been a pretty good race for Team Bollinger, isn't it? I mean, points-wise, I know you have them with you as well. It's we have been scoring points throughout the race, haven't we? Team Bollinger will score plenty of them with this, and that's going to put them off to a good start in the championship. This is part of 4 rounds, as you see at the top. We go to Spa after this, Suzuka, and then we have the Bol d'Or as well, all endurance races. 2 8-hour races after this, and then the 24-hour at Paul Ricard to finish the season. And all of those will be brought to you as live coverage here on Eurosport.
Of course, this will change a little bit in just under 15 minutes time now, but Yamaha leading the championship in these early stages on 24 points from Yoshimura Tsutomu 21. BMW third and 18 from Kawasaki WeBike Trickstar, still sitting there in 4th place, and they are 4th in the championship. Tati Timberger 5th, and the Bollinger Team Bollinger Switzerland in 6th on 9 points. But of course, that will all change in just under 15 minutes when we get the sharp end of the weekend and the race positions coming through. As we look at the Kronberger team, another one they've had a brilliant weekend as well. Not quite close enough to challenge for the victory, but 9th place, looking very strong indeed.
It really has for Kronberger. Top 10 overall, and on for a podium in Superstock class. Just 15 minutes now to go. Almost into the final 10 minutes now of this 24-hour, and we can see RAC 41 there going along smartly. Here we look back at the team currently rounding out the top 10. Motobox Kramer Racing, that leaves them 8th in class as well.
That's another team. They got a good steady race on the fringe of the top 10. They've again not put too much wrong during the race, and stuck there some looks what's set to be some good points at the end of the race. Just noticed that BMW currently in the pits, just leaving out on their outlap any moment now. I don't think it's anything other than a routine rider change, perhaps just put a little splash of fuel in just to be on the safe side. Suzuki counting down the minutes now. We have got less than 14 minutes to go, so every lap that's completed, one step closer to the checkered flag. But I think everyone knows in a 24-hour race it's looking good for them right now, but no one is taking anything for granted right now.
Yeah, their last win in 2022, their first in 1982, 14 wins in total.
Is that a lucky charm?
I wonder if that's the case. I'm loving the onboard camera there. I've got to say, on the team member, that's going to capture some great footage through pit stops and maybe celebrations come the end of the race.
Yeah, I think the champagne on ice right now in the Suzuki camp. But looking hopeful for them here. They've and if they do win, we don't want to say anything too early. If they do win, it really will be a fantastic victory, because when we retired for the night, it was fair to say this was a damage limitation exercise for Suzuki, and thrust into the limelight. They were given an opportunity through others' misfortune, but they were firmly in position to grasp an opportunity and have never let go.
It's easy, isn't it, when you're in that position that they found themselves in, to push too hard to come back through. They found a great balance of they managed to find a really good balance where they were setting consistent 136s all the time. And they were doing that when the track was really cold at times as well, weren't they? And
the bike just seemed to come to them in the night, didn't it?
And it just seemed to come to them. They took a lot of risks at any point in some of those laps. I'm sure those riders, it probably hasn't looked very visible from where we've been sat. There's probably been some big moments. We did see one actually where they, I don't know who was on the bike at the time, almost came off the seat coming down to La Chapelle. And I imagine there's been a lot of those that haven't been caught on camera. They've had to take those risks, and they've been rewarded with a 2-lap lead because of that over the BMW.
And I'll tell you what, Greg Black is still hauling as well. He's obviously not on the pace of his fastest lap right now, but still lapping under 1 minute 40. It's 1:39.058 last time. When you consider how far we've come in this race, counting down the minutes, he is still maintaining a good pace out there, which is sometimes the best way. You want to take it easy, of course, but don't want to be going too slowly, and that's sometimes when you topple over yourself.
No, absolutely not. And I think that's what they've managed to do. Just find a good balance, a good rhythm. It was almost, that's happened. The pit crew worked really well. We caught footage of them just repairing that bike, and it was reset, and go. And since then, they have just managed to keep their heads. It would have been so easy on the next stint out to drop the bike again, over pushing to catch or reduce the gap that they had ahead of them. They have not done that at all, and it's been a real textbook ride for them in terms of 24-hour racing, and that is why they are so successful in doing this. They are vice champions. This will be their 11th win in this famous race, their last one coming back in 2021. They first won this in 1982. They have won this several times of Yoshi Miura. It's going to be an 11th win for them, the 16-time world champions. As we get into the final 10 minutes, Chris.
Here we are, Chris, looking at this. This is the
national
champions elect, you would say, for both classes, and no one is getting too overexcited here.
Just
less than 10 minutes.
I think everyone's positioning themselves, and as we get into the final 10 minutes, Chris, I'm going to put that question out to you that we've put out to everyone that's tuning in with us. You can send your answers to us at Chris McCarthy 32, at Chris Ora. Team of the race for you, Chris. Is there anyone in particular that stood out as we get into these final 10 minutes?
I think it's a tie between the Yoshimura Cert Motul team and the rider we're looking at right now, the team of National Motos Honda, who've had a very faultless race. It's not been terribly exciting in that sense. They haven't had to do any brave moves through the pack or any real dices for the lead. They've just kept it nice and simple, not really put a foot wrong and let the race come to them almost. And now all of a sudden sitting in 5th place. Good steady ride for them so far. And there we see our graphic giving us the total time in the pits, 28.21 for them, which is the least out of any of the front runners. Just goes to show how orderly their race has been. And of course BMW 28.44. And when you compare that to the likes of Yamaha, Yoshimura, that's another shout out, I think, as well. Another team that's had a fairly, don't want to say quiet race, but they haven't had too many huge dramas, and they've just managed to brush them off and keep going. BMW in 2nd place. Unless anything drastic happens here, they won't get the win. But that is another strong contender, I think, for a team of the day award. If there was one going out here, they would certainly be in contention for it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's these guys here have got to be definitely up there. You know, National Motos Honda, look how far ahead they are on the rest of the stock class. It's absolutely superb. And that's because they just haven't put a foot wrong the whole time. Look at the distance between them and the rest of the field. It's astonishing. National Motos Honda, it's been textbook stuff. But that said, I mean, Yoshimura would be your obvious choice in terms of how they've managed to come back through the field. But that said, there's been lots of drama in that top class in terms of everyone's had their own drama. So for me, I think National Motos Honda, I'd give it to just on the premises that they've just kept it on the road the whole time and built a gap, and that has been why they have been, that's why they've been racing in this for so long and why they've been on the podium, got their first podium back in the early 90s.
I'm going to be
demonstrations of that.
A little bit boring here and agree with you, Chris, entirely, not provide any kind of counter argument, because pretty much for the same reasons. It does depend on how you interpret such a question, I think, but when you say the way that they dominated the race and just played everything cool, kept everything simple, and over 24 hours is a long time to keep it all together.
Yeah.
Credit has to go to this team, though, Yamaha, who they're another team that had to keep it together after the race really unravelled for them in the early hours of the morning. When we looked at the first part of the race, this really did look like a formality if things stayed as they are. But only 6 laps down at this stage, when you consider how badly beat up that Yamaha was. They did very well to get the bike out onto the track. They've had 1 or 2 pit stops to check the condition of the bike. I think there was a faulty shock on the bike as well they had to replace as well. So it's been a tough second half of the race, but again, not taking anything for granted here, but with 6 minutes to go, facing up to a podium. And of course they've lost one of the riders with the unfortunate Karel Hanneke damaging his shoulder in that crash and having to watch.
Credit to BMRT as well, 8th place, moved up the field very well so far. We've got to give credit to them as well. They've done really, really well in this race to just move themselves up the order. There's been so many good stories. KM99 what, I mean, they were out of the top 35, I think, at one stage. They're 14th. Absolutely fantastic from them. So many good stories. We'll reflect on many more as we get into the final 5 minutes. It's just a matter of a couple of laps now. We are really close to that checkered flag. And
I think as well, anyone for the Brits as well. We've got the 17th place now is the number 27 TRT 27. And according to our lap charts, Michael Dunlop is going to bring the bike home. There's a lot of people tuning in to see how Michael Dunlop's getting on. And the answer has been not bad at all. He's had some good, steady rides out there across the weekend. And they're sitting in 17th place, not going to be a contender for the podium, but a good, solid position for the All-Brit lineup. And again, you can just cut the tension in the Suzuki camp with the knife. There's so many emotions going on there. Less than 5 minutes to go, but if anything goes wrong now, it could be 5 hours, couldn't it, for all the difference it makes?
Nick Green.
Nervous smiles and nervous laughter down there.
Nick Green on Twitter says Suzuki for team of the race, having followed them for 20 years, just saying this is just such a fantastic performance they've put in this weekend, and I think it has been as well. So cool, he describes it, so tough as well.
And
I think he's right.
You know what, Chris, I think it's hard to argue against that as well.
Yeah, it is. We'll prepare the trophy, shall we?
Yeah.
We'll split it in half.
That's got to be a tie, I think.
It is, though. I'm loving all the interactions we've had. A thank you to all of you for your support on this. A thank you to the Marshals trackside as well, who've let this race go on. And a thank you to the teams for putting on such a good show for us as well. We're almost there now. We are almost there. But as we saw from the guys in the Suzuki garage, this is when it gets very nervous as we get towards the end. And
not helping things are all the press doing their job, of course, and they're all crowding the garage out filming this crew.
Yes.
It's like being on trial for these guys, isn't it? Everyone's got their eyes on them. 4.5 minutes to go.
Yes.
Oh, this is just adding to the tension here.
Yes.
As we know, if that bike, anything happened even on the last lap, it would be as good as nothing, really. So, yeah, just looking at some of the reactions on the Suzuki team, there were a few very nervous smiles and nervous little giggles there, but nobody wants to... I think everyone's got a wise head in that camp.
Now, 777, are they back out? Wojciech Racing Team 2.
Good spot there, Chris.
Kevin
Manfredi.
I think they are. It's not Gino Rio on the bike, but it looks like they're back out on the circuit. So, Gino Rio's team, I think, are back out. I think Kevin Manfredi has just aborted that bike. Sorry to take the attention away from Suzuki ever so briefly, but we have been following their progress. Gino Ria is part of that team and is returning to racing for the first time in 2 years. And I think, are they back out on track now? Let's have a look. We have had. Let's see if they come through. I think they are maybe back out there. Let's have a look.
Charts will explain that. Yes,
let's see if
Manfredi showing up on the splits there. So well, 143 last time round.
Let's see if they come back through. Yes, he's just come through the first sector, Kevin Manfredi. So
I think Wojciech Racing having their own little lap of honour here, which you can't really blame them for after a difficult race.
Yeah, so Kevin Manfredi, so they're going to take the flag. They're going to take the flag. Wojciech Racing Team, the 777 bike is going, Gino Ria's team, the one he is in, I know we're describing it as it's the Wojciech Racing Team 2, Kevin Manfredi, Daniel Webb, Sheridan Moraz and Gino Ria are part of that team, and Gino would want us to, of course, say, explain that further as well and put emphasis on that.
This is nice timing here from Greg Black. I think he's running to a schedule here almost. He crosses the line now with 23, 58 and 37. So here we go, right on cue. This is the last lap of the race, and Greg Black taking it smooth as he, just going past the back markers. That's not, he's overtaken hundreds and hundreds of riders, but every time he goes past somebody, it's just nervous to watch, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? But this is it, the final lap, Chris, and it's been such a fantastic display. They're getting ready to celebrate. It's going to be history in the making for Suzuki. We had this battle for 15th win coming in, and it looks like Suzuki are going to get that one. Yoshimura once on the floor And now it looks like they're going to be on the top step.
This is a magical Le Mans moment here, Chris. Everyone, pit lane closed, everyone just crowding out onto the pit wall to welcome their riders home.
And these are the moments you want to see, isn't it? They're just coming in. Greg Black's just coming in now. It's just a matter of corners. And these are the sights we love to see as he makes his way down to the final few corners. Greg Black, who has emotionally, he's gone through a tough journey. And now he is going to be the rider to bring home. I think a shake of the head there. I don't think he ever saw this moment happening. Yeah, and now he just has a few corners to bring it home, Chris.
So here we go, Greg Black just coming up towards the Heures Garage Bleu for the final time in this 24-hour race. The clock ticking down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 24 hours completed, and right on cue, Greg Black is coming up to the final 2 corners now. Pretty much timed that to perfection. The race will be over once he crosses the line, which he should do any moment now. Final corner, and Yoshimura, certain Motos Suzuki take the checkered flag. They can afford to celebrate now because Greg Black goes over the line. Race win for Black, win for Suzuki, and who would have thought that going into the evening station there, Chris? But credit to the Suzuki team, they never gave up. And this is, I would say, a classic example at Le Mans. Sometimes you don't win the race comes looking for you.
What an absolutely superb display from Yoshimura Moto. They never gave up in the race, and they have been rewarded for their efforts with the win here in the 24-hour of Le Mans, and it's going to be the same for the National Motos Honda team. Out the final corner, P5 on the road overall, P1 in the super stock class. They are down the road from the rest of the field, and they can add to the victories that they already have in this category. An absolutely superb display from National Motos Honda, who are winners in the super stock category.
Here comes the second place finisher, Ilya Mikhalchik, over the line for the BMW Motorrad EWC team, finishing in second position, narrowly missing out on the victory, just 2 laps down at the drop of the flag, but they won't be too disappointed. A great start in terms of the championship, just behind the sole experimental class finisher. The Metis eventually brings it home in, I think they'll be 18th position, and they can still afford a wave to the crowd. The Yacht Yamaha team, I think there'll be a little bit of disappointment to them that they have to settle for third place, but a podium position not to be sniffed at. And good start to the finish. We're going to go and get some of the first reactions down in the pits.
Damien, another victory. What an amazing job.
It's a fantastic. I'm very happy for all the staff, for the rider, for sponsor. And it's Le Mans. Le Mans, it's fantastic, 24-hour bike in Le Mans. I'm very happy. It's exceptional, exceptional. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Xavier Simon, rider, certes, winner here. Merci un petit peu. Thank you.
Yoshimura Moto team, this was the moment it happened when they crossed the line. That was the reaction from the team that had to fight back through so much misfortune in the race. Unfortunately, they found themselves on the ground at one stage, but they picked themselves up quite literally and fought their way back through the order. They chased down the gap that was ahead of them through the night, through the tough conditions, and they have been rewarded with a win here on the Bugatti circuit to take top points in the first round of the Endurance World Championship. Congratulations to Yoshimura, and I think quite fitting that Greg Black should be the rider to take them across the line. He, the one that thought he might have thrown it away, but in the end, he, the rider, to bring it home for them, and that will mean so much to him. And that a lovely shot, Chris Sora, the 2 winners coming in together.
Etienne, second victory after 2015.
Yeah, no word. It was really difficult after the beginning of the race. We pushed during all the night, We pushed very, very hard, and now we take the victory. So it's it's really cool.
Congratulations.
Well, Etienne Masson there, no words to describe, but what a great, like you say, Chris, what a great team effort there, and how great it is that Greg Black takes the honour of the checkered flag. We remember in the early evening he was sat in the garage trying to keep his composure. He was the one that, of course, threw it down the track. Not necessarily his fault, of course. There was that traction control issue with the Suzuki. But in any case, it spat him off the bike, and he was the one that had to just keep his composure whilst they got to work repairing that machine and start the fight back in the early evening. This win has been over 12 hours of fairly solid, no compromise riding by all of the team, really, and believe it or not, it's paid off.
Yeah, and it has paid off in big ways. 15 wins for Suzuki. They go to the top of the pile in the standings here overall. And beautiful sights as celebrations begin here at Le Mans. Greg Black just reflecting on the result that has happened. National Motos Honda get ready to celebrate again, reigning vice champions in the World Cup standings, and they get off to a perfect start and going on to try and win that World Cup this year. And
oh, there is the treble 7. That's
oh, there it is. So it did take the checkered flag. Kevin Manfredi, yes, took the checkered flag, and a lovely moment for them that they had that moment to take the checkered flag at the team that Gino Ria is part of. And there's a beautiful side as all the teams come down and have their own moments to celebrate. Yes, we have, of course, our podium finishers in that area, Chris, but we have everyone who has finished this race, and 29 of them took the checkered flag. They all deserve their winning moment. They all deserve this parade down the pit lane, because they've all really had an effort to go through to take this checkered flag. And yes, a nice gesture from the Kawasaki team to clap everyone who's come out and clap him down the pit lane. They've had an emotional race, I think it's fair to say, falling just short of a podium.
I think it was a burnout in the background as well. That's a bit obligatory. It's almost a cliche, of course, Chris, to say this, but every one of these teams is a winner in their own right. To get the bike through a race 24 hours, stay in the race, of course, it's a victory in itself, so everyone is going to be celebrating.
Let's go down and hear from our winners.
Congratulations, boys. That was incredible. Give me a quick word on how you're feeling after this victory after so long.
I have no word, no word. It's amazing. After the beginning of the race, it's really cool to finish like this. We push during every night, so yeah, it's really cool.
Greg?
Yeah, amazing to be back on the first step here after 2 years without being here. It's just amazing with Dan, with Etienne, the whole team done such great work all winter, and showed our speed. Got our revenge here from last year, so just awesome.
And Dan, what a way to start.
Well, I'm speechless. My first race with the team's home race. Oh, I have no words at all. I'm just so thankful to everybody for accepting me into the team, for helping me with everything I need, and yeah, thank you everybody at home. I'm gonna get teary soon.
Oh, bless you. Well, congratulations. You're the 2024 Le Mans winners.
And how good that must feel to hear as well. Congratulations to them. They mentioned last year, 7th place it was for them last year. Not the result they would have wanted, but they come back in fine form this year, getting that win. And for Suzuki, a big one as well. And that puts them at the top. Emotional one for the Yoshimura team, 11 for them in total now as well. They really are racking them up. And this one will be particularly special, I feel, as well, given the position they found themselves in. Likewise for BMW, they are regular visitors to this podium and podiums similar to this now They are starting to demonstrate some really good form in these races. Let's go and hear from them now.
Up in the 2024 Le Mans. Sylvain, a quick word from you.
It was a great fight all the way. Today we just didn't have quite enough, but it was great fun, and very much enjoyed it on the new bike with this new project. So yeah, well done to everybody, to my teammates.
Ilya?
Yeah, we're happy. First of all, I want to say thanks to everyone, especially to the team. We did a good job. To my teammates, they was push everything so hard, and even if with some difficult conditions, we was still on the good pace and fight for the first places. And yeah, we finished on the second place, and it's really nice feeling.
And Marcus?
Yeah, thank you to the team, to my teammates. It was a very hard and long race. We had some difficulties for sure, but everybody had it. So we had no crash. We were fast, and apart from some small issues, the race was okay. We're second now, which is very good. But for the next time, we want to be one step more in the up.
Fantastic! Congratulations.
Well, that's our victorious runners-up, you might say, the BMW team. A little bit of a note a bit further down as we watch the BMW is that the team Avio bike appears to have dropped out of contention on the last lap. We saw it going very slowly with help from the marshals on the final lap and showing there's a non-finisher. So, yeah, if that's true, that's a shame for them.
Doesn't mean that they run out of fuel.
Yeah, well, look at the possibly. You know, well, let's hope not, but you never know. The bike very slow over the line, looks like going to be not classified, but here we see that wonderful ride from the BMWs. One lap down on the leaders as the provisional results will be coming through very shortly. And Yamaha, let's see what they have to say.
Congratulations, guys. You have finished third. Can I get a quick word from all of you on how the last 24 hours have been?
Yeah, it was tough. I'm really sorry for my teammates because they were amazing, and my team, they really deserved the win, and I'm really sorry for my mistake. So I learned from that, and I believe we can still fight for the championship next races.
Harold, we all feel for you. Marvin?
Yeah, it was a tough race, but I think we showed we are the strongest trio, and we are ready to bounce back at Spa.
And Nicolo, carrying a shoulder injury, and you still managed to get through 24 hours is incredible.
Yeah, I'm really happy, to be honest, because we are in a good place in the championship. We score good points. We show everyone what we can do because we did a track record in qualifying, the fastest stint of the race, the fastest lap of the race. So we are there, just a matter of luck, and we will fight harder for this title again.
Well done. The bronze is yours. Congratulations.
I'll tell you what, Chris, poor old Karel Hanneke, that is a man who has got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He rode superbly, of course, for much of the race, but he can't disguise it, can he? Just feels like he's let everyone down, and you've got to feel for him because he was superb.
He was. It's been a really tough one to take for him, hasn't it? And you could hear there, he wants Spa to be next week.
I think he does, doesn't he? But he just wants to dust this one down and get back on the track.
Sadly,
really,
he has to wait until the 8th of June for that to happen. It's a little bit of a wait for the 8th. It's an 8-hour of Spa race this year, not a 24. But yeah, it's a little bit of a wait, sadly.
Yeah, just a bit for him.
To go. So yeah, but in his mind, that would be perfect if that were next week. But he'll bounce back, there's no doubt. Let's go down and hear from our Superstock winners.
Well done, guys. Amazing job, amazing race. What do you feel?
Yes, the race was amazing. So cold this night, but we stay on the wheels and finish on the top. I'm happy to start the season like this.
Sebastian?
Yes, it's crazy race. It's so difficult because the weather is very difficult, and yeah, it's good. The team is work very well, and my teammate is very good job. And thanks all my team and perfect.
Yes, it was a perfect race for us. No mistakes in the track, in the bots. Every people of the team made a perfect job, so we are very happy.
Évidemment, 16 juin.
Good to hear from our Superstock winners there, National Motos Honda. It's just been a faultless display, really, from them, from start to finish, and it's rare you can say that in a race like this. They have were challenged. We have to give Kronberner RAC the credit. They kept them honest for large periods of this race, but in the end, National Motos Honda just kept up a pace that Kronberner were unable to match. Here's our overall classification then. Yoshimura take the win, 857 laps completed. That's the most we've seen in the last 5 years. BMW Motorrad second, Yamaha third. That's 3 different manufacturers in the top 3, 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. National Motos Honda, your Superstock winners in P5. Just rounding out the top 10, Kronberner and Motorbox Kramer, 3 best of bike, then round out the top 3 in Superstock. The junior team 12th. KM99 came back up to 13th after their dramas earlier. The Matisse finished in 17th place overall. Wojciech Racing Team were 19th place. JMA had their dramas. They came back through to finish in the top 20. Team 202 team players playing gas in the end were the last of the finishers because Team Avio Bike were the first of our non-finishers as well. Wojciech Racing Team, sorry, 777 were next. We also had FCC Honda non-finishing 35 as well, non-finishing as well. TMC 35. We'll go through the rest very quickly. Tech Mass, the number 53 out of the race. Mano competition as well. We'll go through the rest after. Let's get on with the podium first of all, Chris.
So here we go then, the Yamaha team taking the 3rd place on the podium. Heures Anneke still doesn't look too happy, does he? But he'll just keep a stiff upper lip here, you might say. Just take this one on the chin and move on to the next round. But nonetheless, good, strong finish for the Austrian Yamaha team. They would have hoped for better, but never mind. There's still 3 more rounds this year. Credit to BMW on the other hand. They'll be very pleased with 2nd position. This may be slightly better than they were hoping for, and not too far away from the winners either. So, yeah, they're still very well poised in terms of the championship. Bright start to the 2024 season. Belgian-based team, of course, on the BMW. And as we wait now for our winners, the moment they have been waiting for and thought had passed them by, Yoshimura Motul Suzuki win the 2024 Categoria Moto here at Le Mans. The most famous endurance races on the calendar. And this year goes the way of Suzuki, who are officially the most successful manufacturer in the history of Le Mans.
Yeah, it takes them just that step above everyone else. Congratulations to Suzuki, congratulations to Yoshimura Motul. P1 for them, 11 wins for them overall. They are on the top step of the podium after some fights back through the field. BMW falling just short for them this year, but a very respectable podium. And Yamaha, once leaders, 3rd place will do for them with some big points. There go the trophies to Yamaha finishing in 3rd place. Karel Hanneke, it will be a trophy he looks over with some discomfort in some ways, I think, but nevertheless, a 3rd place in the 24-hour Le Mans is something to be very, very proud of. So hopefully for his sake, one day he can look at that and be very, very proud of the efforts that he's put in here. I think Yamaha, this can be part of a championship charge that hopefully they can go on now to challenge for this Endurance World Championship. The same can be certainly said here for BMW, falling just short again of getting to the top step. But is this just one more step forward to getting history? Could next year be the year we see a BMW win Le Mans? It's getting closer all the time. They were there. They were right there. 1 lap behind at the end of 24 hours is some effort. But the bike they were 1 lap behind was Yoshimura on their Suzuki. They were just too fast today, even with the fact that they went down. They took all the risks required. They charged back through and in the end they had 1 lap advantage to play with as they came back through to take victory in the 24-hour of Le Mans, and they stand on the famous gantry with all the fans on the start-finish straight where they were once charging down, looking over. And now we have the podiums being, the trophies being presented here to the trophies being presented to our winners. Famous podium. And then this was the actor, Norman Reedus, who actually started the race for us around 24 hours ago.
Pretty much, 24 and about 19 minutes ago, something like that. So he's still here and sticking around to present the winners' trophies. Let's hope he's had a good weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have very much enjoyed himself. Just going to sneak a quick picture in. Big fans of him, I'm sure. Good to see he stuck around until the end and enjoyed himself. I'm sure would have really enjoyed the action that he's seen so far. Nothing better, I've got to say. I've been lucky enough to go out onto the podium at Le Mans, and there is no better podium than it. It is absolutely superb, I have to say. I can't imagine what it's like standing there as a winner with the trophy in your hand.
It's almost like a shared moment for everyone, really, when you think of what a tough race it is.
Yeah. Beautiful moments there, Chris.
Fantastic, isn't it? And of course, if you're used to motorcycling, you tend to hear the Japanese anthem quite often, in honour, of course, of the Yoshimura Moto Suzuki team. And like you say, Chris, fantastic moments as they, any moment now, of course, will spray the champagne. Said that they'll lift the trophy. The spraying of champagne, of course, pioneered at this very circuit with, allegedly, with Dan, legend has it, with Dan Gurney in the 1960s. Popped the champagne and sprayed it over the crowd, and it's been a staple celebration ever since. Not just in motorsport, of course, but all over, as the Suzuki lift the FIM trophy once again. And a tough victory, very well deserved. Any one of these three teams, I think, Chris, would have been a worthy winner.
Yeah, well, they all had their moments. I mean, particularly first and third leading the race, but now comes a moment where they really begin the big celebrations. Champagne spraying here at Le Mans over the crowd, over the teams in the pit lane as well. And it's cheers all round on the podium. They put in the hard work and good sportsmanship as well, as we see the teams. They know they've gone toe-to-toe, shoulder-to-shoulder out there, particularly at the start of the race when we saw some great racing. But now they can share a moment on the podium and celebrate together after a good, respectable and hard-fought race. In the end, Yoshimura take the win from BMW, from Yamaha. But as Chris says, any one of the three could have been winners.
Easily, on any given day. Just seemed to fall the way of Suzuki this year. And as we said, when they cross the line, you don't always go and win the Le Mans 24 hours. Quite often the race comes and finds you, and that was certainly the case for Suzuki. Really got the hammer down overnight and lifted themselves back into contention. Sometimes you do need that little bit of luck to turn your way, and that certainly went the way of Suzuki, with both Yamaha and BMW hitting trouble almost simultaneously, but they were in position and able to grab that opportunity.
Let's see if, no, Bruno van der Stick is speaking to some of the riders now. Let's see if we can hear what they're saying. Maybe. I don't know how good your French is, Chris.
Not the best. It's enough to get by, but...
With Bruno van der Stick there, the voice of Le Mans, a man I've had the pleasure of working with. Let's go through the Teams Championship then, shall we, Chris?
So here we go, after one round of the championship, the total standings, Yoshimura Cert Motul 61 points from Yamaha, 9 points in it. Yamaha 1 point ahead of BMW on 51 points, KWT in 4th position. So manufacturers, of course, Yamaha and Kawasaki tied for points at the top. Winner Suzuki having to settle for 3rd, by virtue, of course, Yamaha having a lot more consistent points in the qualifying and during the race itself. BMW and Honda not too far behind, so everything's still wide open after one round of the championship. Everyone, I think, has had their plus points. I mean, Yamaha faded during the race, had a bit of misfortune, but looked very strong in the qualifying and the first part of the race. So, yeah, still wide open, Chris.
It certainly is. Here we can see the Yoshimura team getting the chance to take their picture with all the crowd in the background and the pit lane filled. And they were the ones that brought it home. They know they had to work so hard with it. I think this is going to be one of the wins of the ones they've had so far that really stands out for them as a huge memory. One of the hardest fought as well. 2nd place, BMW, the ones that pushed them to the end, were always knocking on the door. Yamaha had it in their hands at one stage, you could say, but so did many of the teams, and Yamaha, an incident for them, saw them dropping down.
I think reflections there, Chris, on a fantastic 24 hours as well. It's, like I say, all 3 teams in with the contention for the win. The fantastic victory, of course, for National Motos Honda. Really has been a great start to the EWC season.
Yes, it has, and we continue it, of course, with Spa 8th of June, then Suzuka 21st July, and then we have the Boulder 14th and 15th of September. Chris, I think this has been your first Endurance World Championship.
First Endurance World Championship. Thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
It's been great to have you in for the first time. Your final thoughts before we wrap up here.
I think it's been a fantastic kick-off to the 2024 season. All of the manufacturers, all of the teams showing their plus points throughout the weekend. I think nobody's really been off the pace. On any given day, I think any manufacturer could have won this one. Even the ones who faded, Kawasaki and Honda, didn't have the best of days, but they showed form in there as well. So as we move towards Spa and Suzuka into the summer, I think they bodes well for a classic season here.
Yeah, I know we're, of course, in the podium celebrations, but good to hear your thoughts from that. Spa, what do you think of that one?
Well,
8 hours of Spa coming up next.
Another classic circuit. A lot shorter race this year, of course, 8 hours. So I wouldn't like to predict anything here. I think Suzuki certainly looking strong here at Le Mans, but he can never write off the Yamaha team. And you have to look at BMW and think if they can kick on from this fantastic, encouraging start to the season. That bike has proven itself to be a very strong, very reliable machine. Easy, user-friendly for the riders as well. They haven't had too much trouble with the bike, and if they can carry that into Spa, it's the team's home venue, of course. Belgian team racing in Belgium, so let's wait and see on that one.
Yeah, well, I guess we could take this chance to thank everyone who's put this event together, the marshals, the track staff, the organisers, to all the TV crew as well, everyone who's made this 24-hour of Le Mans event together. Thank you very much for being part of it. To Tom Gaymore, Simon Penson, Ben Rumbold, David Goddard, Chris Heures has been alongside me. I've been Chris McCarthy. We'll see you on the 8th of June for Spa-Francorchamps, round 2.
Well, that is Le Mans Patramana 2024 drawing to a close. Victory for the Yoshimura Cert Motul team. There were thrills and spills, even the leaders all dropping the bikes at some stage. But a great victory for Suzuki. BMW and Yamaha looking strong. As we saw, that was the moment we thought that Suzuki were out of it, but they fought back through the night. Great racing, Chris, and I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me along here at Eurosport. Hope to see you soon as we move on to Spa and the next round of the championship in June.
Yeah, the 24-hour Le Mans concludes, but the Endurance World Championship continues. Yoshimura have been our winners today. Will they be our winners next time? Join us on the 8th of June to find out as we go racing for 8 hours around Spa-Francorchamps. For now, it's goodbye. For our viewers on digital, we're going to continue coverage for you on the next podium. So don't worry, we haven't quite wrapped for you guys. Of course, we wave goodbye to those of us joining on TV coverage, but for those of you joining us digitally, we will continue the exclusive coverage that we are bringing you throughout this 24-hour race. Let's get our podium finishers there now, shall we, Chris, for the Superstock class.
Well, third place already up on the podium. Another third place for Yamaha this weekend. 3 Art Best of Bike, who had a superb, very strong race taking third place. Second, of course, will be the Chrome-Burner team, that Honda-based team, looking very good. Throughout the whole weekend, on another day, they could have won it, but I think anybody would have been very hard fought to taking the victory off these guys. Finishing in the top 5, of course, overall 5th place finishers, winners of the Superstock class. It's the National Motos Honda. They've been here before, but certainly the victories don't necessarily get any easier. They had to work for this one, and work for it they did. Fantastic victory there for them. On another day, they could have been on the overall podium as well, I think, Chris.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the question was posed to us, wasn't it? Do we ever see an overall winner? I think more the question, do we ever see an overall podium finisher? It would be the question. Well, on that subject, I have to say a massive thanks to everyone who's been giving questions in. We really appreciate your support throughout the race. It's been a really fantastic to have so many people in. But could we ever see one of these guys on the overall podium here at Le Mans with this season? I'm talking, not just here at Le Mans, but this season.
I wouldn't put it past it. No, I think it would be not a surprise when we look at especially how well National Motos went. I mean, we're talking here maybe if just two of the teams in front of them had another drop down, or that's fine margins, really. One high side, 2 high sides, maybe on the podium possibly.
That was great. 3 Art Best of Bike, big high fives all round. They've worked hard for that one, and they know it. Well, they're very, very happy. So are they.
From Dunlop there, we saw the Motor representative as well, one of the French companies, of course, and Dunlop, one of the series partners for EWC. This will, of course, be a Dunlop victory, as all of the teams running the various Dunlop tyres.
And now we will get ready to present our trophies to our winners as well. Here we go. Our winners, National Motos Honda, faultless throughout and just too quick for the rest of the field. They were challenged at times, but in the end, National Motos Honda down the road in the Superstock class, and they add to their success in this event, and they absolutely deserve it as well. Congratulations to the National Motos Honda team. Anthem time. moments. French riders on the top step of the podium. French teams on the top step. French teams all around. What a day for the home fans.
Well, they love to see
what a
that.
moment that is.
Yeah, 3 tricolor on the podium. The Marseilles playing out at Le Mans. You can't get much more French than that, can you, Chris?
Not at all. And that's going to be such a special moment. Yeah, I imagine as young riders, it's what you dream of, isn't it?
Definitely. It's, of course, at least one French rider on top of the podium, of course, for the 55 team with Raymond Goulon as again, the champagne.
They're not holding back, are they? Oh. Well, they certainly deserve that. I've got to say, the champagne spray was definitely a bit more aggressive that time around, isn't it? But they certainly deserve the big celebrations. It's been superb stuff. Thank you once again, Chris Sora, for your company.
Yeah, thanks. Chris McCarthy, fantastic stuff.
We will be back, as I said, on the 8th of June for Spa. From myself, Chris Sora, Chris McCarthy, and the rest of the team. For now, it's goodbye.